Hi, and welcome to another Happy Salad video thing with Zach and Rob. This time Zach is going to show us the latest and greatest stuff from the Odyssey update for Eve.
Maybe. Depends whether I can find any of it, because this is kind of one of the things that I'm going to try and show here, which is like scanning down the way they've changed the scannable sites. Is obviously that's just random, so whether I'll be able to find one or not.
How much backstory are we going to need to talk about, like, for people that aren't that familiar with Eve and whatever the hell it is, or
I don't know.
If you're not familiar with it,
I guess while I'm flying around, we'll probably have some time to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, space.
In essence.
In case you didn't really realise, this is about space.
Space. We're in space. Look, there's a big ass station and everything.
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
And we've got sweet engine trails.
Casually going to warp to this planet. There's the scanner going around, but it turns off when you warp.
That's new.
My new effect.
You.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to warp to a planet so I'm out of the way, just because I like doing that. Not that there's any threat to me in high security space, which, by the way, we're in high security space, so you're not going to see any interesting PvP or anything. This is purely the mechanical stuff that was added in the update. And then we have to do the scanning jiggle. Well, I guess first of all, let it do the automatic scan, if it actually does it.
No.
No, I guess not. Well, never mind, we'll go to the scan map.
Probe scanner.
Which is this one. Right.
So what are we looking for?
What we're looking for is they've changed the way the hacking and archaeology sites work now. And they've changed actually quite a lot of the scanning mechanics. Well, not really changed, but sort of simplified, I guess. I need to... The trouble is I've just got windows all over the place. Also, this is installed on Rob's machine, so it hasn't remembered any of my settings, which is always a pain in the ass for Eve. So you see here, it's already found an anomaly, which is the ones that it automatically can find with your generic ship scanner.
Mm.
But what I've got on this ship is attached here, I've got a probe launcher.
Are we going to get into like some ridiculous Mass Effect style launching probe?
Yeah, but not in the same way. Because, well, the way you used to do it is basically this is just like a missile launcher where you'd click it and then a probe would come out, and then it would appear on this map and you'd move it around. You'd move it to its place, and then you had to... It was basically...
Wait, so what's the advantage of doing that other than just, flying there?
Well, because you have to find it. Because these are the hidden sites. Because it's basically... triangulation. So you had to overlap the spheres of the probes, and then signatures that were inside the overlapping bits you could scan down.
So you need to be sending multiple probes.
Yeah. But now one of the things they've done in this update is they've simplified it and just made this big fucking button where you just go BAM! 8 probes.
What?
And actually they're way too big for this, so I'll scale them down a bit. I probably don't even need that. Let's put it up to the larger range. So this is spread formation, where it just covers as much area as it possibly can.
Oh, is there actually? Oh, right, there is one in the middle.
Yeah, it's there's two on top of each other in the middle.
So, in the world, can people see your probes flying out at this point?
Sort of. Oh, no scan signatures detected. Well, next system.
It's not here then.
Nope.
So when they say cosmic anomaly, is it like, where could it be?
Where could what be?
Is it in this system, or...?
Ah, shit, that's not the right button. What system am I on? How? It's in space. Basically...
I got that bit.
It's basically the anomalies can spawn within some number of light years... No, not light years. Some number of thousands of kilometres around any objects in the system. So, within...
Is that the travelling through planet version of Warp?
I think that was, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's within a certain number of AU of a planet, there can be scan sites.
I know you've shown me this already while we've been mucking around earlier, but holy crap, new warp animation.
Yes, the new jump animation is now seamless, so it doesn't have a loading bar. I mean, it does, but they have to load at some point, I guess.
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome.
And also, this is another thing that Rob hadn't seen before, is it shows your autopilot route in space. And one of the previous updates, they updated the star map, so the stars are the actual stars. Which is why the ones that are on my route are actually brighter, because they're closer.
It's pretty cool. I mean, that must have taken a lot of work. I mean, presumably not all of these stars on the...
Well, yeah, probably up and down. Those are just generic.
Just made up, yeah.
Because
or is it only rendering like the sort of close ones, or are they literally every star that's in the game? It's sort of.
I don't really know how it works. They didn't really specify.
Even so, it's pretty hardcore attention to detail.
Well, considering how terrible their star maps had been up to this point, they'd updated like all the other graphics, and the star maps were just bloody awful. And like all the nebula stuff.
Yeah, I remember for a long time the texture detail of the star maps wasn't very good.
I walked close to the edge of this planet, so I moved really slowly for it. Fucking giant gas giant, Hell 10. Right, let's get the scanner back up for it. And the scan map. Oh, well, it's found 2 signatures already. You can see that at the moment I can't... They're very low frequent... They're like 0%, so I can't do anything with those until I scan them down. So now we launch the probes. And generally position them vaguely somewhere over here so that it covers them.
Launching the scans, this will take... so it takes 10 seconds
No,
for the reach.
it's reloading.
Okay.
Because the probe launcher only holds 8. And then when you hit that button, it just launches all of them.
Ding!
Okay, well, I got one of them...
8%.
One of them down to a ring, which means it's in range of 2 probes, presumably those 2 vertical probes in the middle.
So basically you then just need to reduce your radius to fit in that thing.
So now we go to pinpoint formation, where it overlaps the probes a lot more, so that I can hopefully just scan once and get both of these with any luck.
So why triangulate with 3? When you can, like...
Well,
is it still called triangulation when there's like 8 of them? Or is it
I don't know.
Octangulation?
Maybe. But like, this is one of the things that I think is sort of annoyingly... well, it's annoying to me, because it used to be like it was an actual skill to be able to launch and manipulate all your individual probes to get in to actually find scan signatures, but now you just do it with one button and you move all the probes at once and it just automatically does it.
Yeah, and they just like... Because that's part of the thing, I suppose, about EVE, is making games within the game for yourself, in a way, isn't it? There's a lot of the mechanics within EVE you can sort of make into a puzzler.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, but then... is it actually, you know, well, it's probably a streamlining exercise as far as they're concerned, but, you know, to try and make it so the things that most people complain about, I suppose.
Don't care about wormholes. If we find any wormholes, I'm not. Because wormholes is how you get to wormhole space, and that's not what we're looking for.
And presumably wormhole space is all kind of...
It's just like low sec, only more so.
Yeah, more low sec. You know, you'll go there and there'll be like tons of presumably the super hardcores.
The hardcores, yeah, probably. Well, it's because a lot of the corporations in wormhole space, because they have to basically be able to survive on their own. Because you can't, in order to resupply, you have to bring stuff through the wormhole. You can only do so many trips through one wormhole before it collapses, and then you have to find another one, and that might exit somewhere else in normal space.
So presumably, like the...
Oh, I'm not getting this signature very good at all.
So presumably, like the big corporations has to have a... I've seen this in action, actually. I used to know someone who would go to the level of being like a wormhole mapper.
Yeah.
Or that their core would have wormhole mappers, and they'd keep an up-to-date... like a separate website outside the game that would just be a map of where everything is right now and the estimated capacities and things like that.
Yeah, because at least there's a set number of wormhole systems, so you know how many of those there are. You just don't know where the wormholes might be. You have to go and scan them down. I'm up to 22%. It still hasn't told me what it is yet. Let's find out if this one's a wormhole as well. That's a wormhole. Come back, probes. Let's get out of here.
Is it like common for them to be 2 right next to each other?
Yeah, you can get plenty of wormholes in one system, really.
I thought wormholes didn't normally appear in high sec, or are they?
No, they appear everywhere. It's just like the high sec ones are like lower quality, so they only lead to the lowest difficulty wormhole space, and they can't have as much capacity before they collapse or whatever.
I suppose where I was going with that, like the sort of little conversation lead there, is I'm always fascinated by the level of, I don't know, meta work that people make for themselves that isn't actually core to the game.
Well, it's quite core.
I mean? Well, you know, it's become. You know, I suppose when EVE started, then they probably didn't envisage this layer of extra game complexity, perhaps.
Maybe,
but it's just. It's been running over a decade now, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 10 years. Actually, that birthday was quite recently. And my character's birthday is coming up soon as well, in August. Coincidentally, quite similar to my birthday.
Hey.
I don't think that was due to my birthday. I think that was just some random timing. Like, I don't think I got into Eve because of a birthday present or something.
No, I think it just happened to launch around that time of the year. Well, it was like early summer, I think it launched, like June, July, something like that. So it's...
Well, there's 3 cosmic signatures that I can see already, so maybe one of them won't be a wormhole.
And we kind of knew someone who was getting into it like from the start anyway, so that was
so
it was presumably like see how he fares, and if it's like, you know, if it seems alright, then we'll actually put down some money for it.
And I was the only one who did this. Yeah. And then he buggered off and I carried on.
Well, yeah, I was always like moderately disappointed that this wasn't what I, you know, from what everyone was telling me, it's like, oh man, I'm going to get to like fly ships and have like awesome battles and then have all this complexity on top of that. That sounds awesome. And then it turns out you weren't flying the ships, and I was like, I'm considerably less interested.
Yes.
So why aren't you, when you're doing these scan routines, why aren't you just like pinpointing right around those red rings? That
I am.
But you know, your range is a lot bigger than the rings.
Well, no, because I'm putting them inside the range of all the probes. Because they have to be in the range of at least 3 to even triangulate into a dot. Because a ring means it's in range of 2, and then when you get to 3, it can actually put a point down.
I get it.
And then you just have to resize your.
I suppose it's a little like
focus on one.
Just a tiny bit difficult to see where they're all
overlapping. I'm sure this looked better before, but maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. I'm sure it was easier to see what the hell was going on with your probes.
You've got to know where your probes are at all times.
Yep. What are we up to? 21%. Damn it, I'm going to have to... Oh, it's up. Wait, is that the one I'm actually doing? Yeah.
Good question.
See, there's no depth perception. That's the other problem. Because it's just on a space black background.
Would this benefit from 3D? Would it render in...
Well, I wonder what those overlapping semi-transparent spheres would even look like in 3D.
A bit of a mindfuck. Yeah, probably. Or that. This weird...
Oh, well, that one's a wormhole.
Woo.
Ignore. Shift over towards this one.
Are we going to find nothing but wormholes?
Hopefully we'll find at least one that I can actually go to. Of course, the trouble is that, as is always the case, they updated this thing, and then on patch day, literally millions of people are going to try and find it. And it's probably still quite populated at the moment. Oh, 17%. I'd never get... If only you could get over 25% on the first attempt, then I wouldn't have to keep rescanning, because 25% is where it tells you what it actually is. As you can see, this bar in the background is segmented. Tells you the different scan levels. Oh, it wasn't quite where it thought it was.
It shifted slightly.
It's around this planet, apparently. The probe noise.
You know, just dial-up probes.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite afford decent modems.
Oh, it's a combat site. We're getting somewhere.
Combat site, eh?
Of course, that might...
Pirates.
Wait, that might be the wrong kind of combat site now that I think about it.
How do you know?
Because I should be... I don't think I want combat sites. I think I want data or archaeology sites. This is probably actually a combat site. Because they used to be classed... It's a Serpentis watchtower.
Are you not equipped for...
Well, I could theoretically do it, but because it's in high sec, that's actually like barely even worth my time. In this ship, I probably could take them out because this is a drone ship, so it relies mostly on the drone power. These guns are just for show. Sort of. Alright, let's get this last one and see what's up here. Yeah, you can imagine how fun that was to do before, where you'd be resizing each individual probe and repositioning each individual probe in 3D space to get all their spheres to overlap.
Yeah, because this has taken... Yeah, I kind of agree with their decision to change that, actually. I mean, I sort of agree with you in the aspect that, yeah, okay, that would have been a useful skill for a core to have, someone who was adept at perhaps manipulating probes.
Especially because obviously the probes can scan down enemies and stuff as well, not just these sites.
But that must have taken a friggin' long time.
Oh, that's a wormhole as well.
Has
someone just been through here and cleared them all out before we got here?
Well, I suppose that's the downside of MMOs, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially ones that are actually, like...
Yeah, massive.
Yeah.
There should... we'll probably find at least one on this loop of 8 or 9 systems that I trundle around.
So we totally avoided doing, like, the noob's guide to Eve during this conversation. It's just like, scan shit!
Well, I mean... the tutorials go on forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of vital for it to do so. I actually went and looked at the tutorial for the new scanning thing because I wanted to work out, not for the scanning so much, but for the hacking, which will, if we find one, we'll get to. They basically made. I probably don't need to talk about this in advance, but they basically made like an actual mini game now to the hacking. Because before you just turn on a module and it do it like everything else in Eve, like mining. One day maybe there'll be a mining mini game, and that will be.
Has much of the speaking of
mining, someone else is scanning.
Yeah. Speaking of mining and like I don't know the planetary stuff, has much of the dust release affected the world?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't have anything in because obviously the dust combat where the combat matters will be all out in the lone and zero sec, where the people's facilities can actually get taken over.
There are so many negative reviews for Dust coming out.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. It's like the structure of the shooter. If you were to play it just as a shooter, doesn't seem to hold together very well, or the amount of effort you need to put in is immense.
Right.
It's like that perhaps like CCP's experiences with Eve and the amount of time people put into this has kind of like misled them somewhat as to the amount of time people would be willing to put into a free-to-play shooter.
Well, there's also like the idea that
given that there's no real benefit, like the stuff you get back for the time you put in is really slow. I mean, free-to-play models are slow, that's the nature of them, but this is really slow.
Well, they also needed like it's like how much do you have to rely on stuff coming from Eve? Like, obviously, you're meant to be being hired as mercenaries from Eve, and then they pay you so you can buy equipment and stuff, rather than having to grind it up yourself.
And maybe that's where, like, reviewing a game like that is kind of tricky.
Yeah,
because it's
possibly.
Like,
somehow that got caught to my cursor. Get back up here.
Because can you actually, if you're a professional reviewer and you're not actually just going deep on this, how far can you get before that stuff becomes
like how much
effort do you have to put in before you reach that stage,
and how much of it do you even know is there really? I mean, presumably the reviewers have to know to a certain extent what sort of game they're playing.
Oh yeah, and a lot of the financial element of it, as in the amount of money people have to put in. And the fact that when you buy something in that game, it's not permanent. You're literally buying buffs that will last you a few games, and then you'll die, and then you'll have them no more. And it's like the value for money on that aspect compared to other free to plays just isn't there.
I guess.
And it's like, and also shooters. Stuff happens, you could die for like a reason that's unforeseen.
Yeah, you always hope not, but
it's an unfortunate part of the game, isn't it? Of those games, something could just fall out of the air and land on you.
Quite possibly.
I was playing. This is like a bit of a.
Well, there's not much else going on in the game, so go off on tangents.
Bit of a tangent, but I found that happened quite a bit sometimes when I was playing Crisis and Crisis Warhead. Like I'd shoot something out of the sky, and a bit of wreckage would just fall and just kill me. And it's like,
well, that is a classic. Like,
it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like, oh, that's so frustrating. Like that chopper is just blown up into a million pieces, and one of them just happened to hit me in the face.
Well, it is always the problem of like it's. Because more often than not, you're shooting a thing that's coming towards you, so it's kind of inevitable that due to physics, the bits of debris that come off it is likely to be going towards you.
Well, yeah, okay. If it's pointing at you and like gunning you down, it's like, oh god, it's going to crash right on top of us.
I'm going to have to overtake that other guy who was scanning. Hope he's not doing the same route. That's why I don't scan at gates, because then no one knows whether I'm scanning.
So what do you do while you're playing Eve? Because a lot of people like use it as a multitasking thing. Like you play Eve while doing other stuff.
I haven't really done that so much. I mean, I have done just like mining while doing other things, but I even find that too much. It's just like I can't concentrate on even mining separately. But yeah, so I do my stupid missions and grind for cash because I play Eve in a very weird way. That I don't recommend anyone else does.
So if you don't recommend it, why don't you sort of break out of your mould? Like, you've done...
Because I still enjoy it in its weird way.
Have you reached, like, the zenith of what you can do, like, in your way of playing? Okay, talk us through it. Talk us through your routine and your...
Well, there's not much to say about it. It's just, like, I just do the agent missions and then do some more agent missions. Over time, I've got better at, like, equipping ships, so I can actually do level 4s by myself. I could theoretically go into level 5s, but that is a lot of effort, and also puts you in areas where PvP can happen, and I don't like PvP.
So agents are just, like...
NPC mission givers.
Missions. So you're basically doing MMO quests.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, in the traditional sense.
But I just like... it. Even though I don't multitask, it's still not a very... If I am multitasking, it's maybe like podcasts or... so I don't have to concentrate too much on.
What's your goal then with your with your strategy? Like, where's the point you sort of think, well, I've done what I can?
I don't know. I just my goal is just get more cash. Always have more cash. Money goes up.
But then what are you going to do with that money?
Well, I mean, there's always more expensive stuff I could theoretically skill into and buy and do, because I mean, like, I use a navy battleship and a faction battleship, and those are like, the navy one was a matter of you grind missions to get reward points with someone who will give you a navy ship, so that was like the reward for doing that. And then I bought the faction ship, but back when I purchased that specific ship, that was a lot cheaper than it is now. That way round was more manageable. But nowadays it's more like you can buy the navy ship for cheap, but the faction ships are ludicrously expensive. That's a wormhole. So yeah,
a lot of wormholes.
Yeah, there actually are
a lot of holes for worms.
But yeah, so I have those two ships, and then theoretically I could also get a Marauder class battleship, which are actually meant to be better for doing missions and stuff, because they can attach... That's a wormhole as well. They can have... But they're basically a special kind of battleship where they have half as many turrets, but each turret does twice as much damage, which leaves half of the high slots open for, like, salvages and tractor beams, so that you can actually salvage a mission while you're going through it, rather than having to come back with a separate ship.
Yeah. Slightly missed the mark on that one.
No, because it reappeared slightly higher up than I was looking at. Is this going to be another fucking wormhole?
Yes.
This is going real good. As I said when we were thinking about recording this, too much reliance on randomness. Oh, well, I didn't even get 20% on that one. This thing is shifting around. It's escaping me. That always used to be really annoying to do when you had to manually position frames. Because if you started scanning something down and you got to like 30%, and then you repositioned, and then it went back to being a ring, and you were like, fuck, where
was it?
What did I do? Wait, that's not the
one you're looking for, is it?
I really should have ignored these ones. No, it wasn't. Somehow this must be a site if it's this hard to scan down compared to the wormholes.
Is that the rule? Like, if they're smaller things?
Maybe. Also, obviously, this is like... No, it's well. Obviously, I'm like using my super high-skilled character, so I have really good scan strength and stuff.
A decade of skilling, basically.
Well, not in scanning particularly, but...
So well, here's a question. Like, how much of a bastard would it be for new players right now? Because I know they've made, like, some changes over the course of the game to sort of make it a little easier on new players. Things that you wouldn't have had to have done from the start.
Yeah.
But just... how much could you really get out of it if you wanted to come in to it now? Say I, for instance, on the really weird occasion that I suddenly find myself with shit tons of time and nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And that was close. That I wanted to get into Eve. Just how much could I really do and do, like, I suppose, in a social sense with you?
Well, with me, you could easily just join in with my missions or whatever, because you just have to keep an eye on aggro, that's the thing. Because normally you can easily have it so that the first ship goes in, gets as much aggro as it can, and then the other ships don't They had changed that fairly recently, that NPCs were slightly more smart about retargeting onto the other ships, but even then, you could probably do something. But really, it's
but wouldn't I just be like cannon fodder? Like, just putting myself out there in my crap spec ships and...
Well, you'd be able to do some damage. That's all that matters.
Or would you have to go out in like, well, we're going to do some crappy level missions. I'm going to
you could do that as well.
Pick my pansy ships.
Well, yeah, because I quite like flying smaller ships to do. It's like I do level 3 missions in cruisers just for a laugh because it's not making me any cash. It's just a different thing to do.
I guess.
To see if I can use those ships.
Is that as close to recreation as you can get in Eve? Or...
I guess. But well, it's like for new people, it's just a matter of really knowing what you want to do and training into it as fast as possible. And that obviously, knowing what you want to do is a problem in itself because you don't know.
No, it's like.
But that's what the tutorials are for, I suppose.
And I suppose there isn't much of a way of finding out, is there? Like, of what you are and aren't going to enjoy.
No, well, I mean, with all the new tutorials that they've put in over the years, it's a lot more. You know, the tutorials are focused, so there's like the hacking and scanning tutorial, which I did for this. So it tells you very specifically about this thing, and with a lot of the tutorials now, you get a lot of free stuff nowadays.
Oh, what? So you can actually do them.
You just get all the skill books you'd need for free, so you don't have to buy those. So that's
to at least to get started down that path.
Yeah, and then like ships and modules, so you get a lot of free shit. Actually, even if you go back and do the... Like, when I went back and did the tutorials, it's like, oh, you've given me a shitty frigate. I guess I'll recycle that for minerals.
A bit of me kind of wishes there was a little bit more of a... I'm not sure I personally would find myself getting into it, but like the way I sort of see this universe and like how potentially you'd want to do it is something a little bit like Freelancer or something, where you're like a sort of dodgy merchant.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. But the game doesn't really have that much of a personal element, does it?
No.
Really? It's like
has dodgy merchants, just not in that way.
Yeah, you just put stuff on the store, don't you, and hope it sells.
Or put it on contracts with misinformation.
What you really want is to like open a store somewhere to sell your wares and then become somewhat...
it's a combat site. Well, it's not a wormhole.
And then become somewhat like notable for you being a bit of a geezer. Yeah.
I'm sure you could try and do that. It just wouldn't be.
It's your old pal Arona.
Or maybe they'll get to that when they actually do the stations thing, because they did suggest that you'll be able to open like shops on board the stations.
Yeah, because I see that being somewhat appealing, but then I wonder how much that's just going to get hoarded out by corps as well, like Starbucks on every corner style.
There's always the problem with, like, if you want to open a corporation office, finding a station that actually has a slot, because obviously corporations just have millions of offices everywhere.
Yeah.
Filling up all the space.
It's just like, there's no room for the small businessman.
No.
And this is like going to be like, the game will have to start introducing incentives or something, like government schemes in high-tech space for small businesses.
Well, there is the theory that at some point you'll be able to have, instead of having the stations at moons that you currently have, where you have the shield and the tower, and then you put all the modules. There has been the idea that maybe eventually you will be able to get personal ones of those, like a literal just a thing for you that won't be nearly as difficult to run as those ones.
At what point does Eve just become a state? Like all this virtual stuff is like actually it's getting pretty close to home.
Yes, as much as home is. Anything.
But I wonder if like they'll use it as like here we're going to run some political experiments, and if they work, then like Iceland's government will start adopting them.
Possibly.
Because knowing how much power they have in Iceland. Because when they saying it was what they call it? Is it just FanFest? Yeah. The mayor.
Well, they do have a lot of power in Iceland, technically, because they supply such a ridiculously large amount of the GDP of Iceland.
It's crazy. Still dialing it in.
Yep. Phone home.
Gnome is requiring burgers whilst we're on the cast.
Whilst we're doing a recording. Live on air food demands.
Live burgers. Just for like, you know, while Zach is scanning away, I can describe what I've made some.
When? How long are you going on without your proof?
Still, we've only been doing this for half an hour. Can you believe it? Well, I've got through like half the systems. Oh, it's a wormhole. This is going to be a real good video if it turns out I don't even find one. But I guess that was...
What else is there?
What else is there? I can't even go and do a bit. Well, I could go and do a mission, but that takes a long mission. The missions that I do, the level 4 ones, take like a long time. Like an app. Well, some of the smaller ones. Although then those aren't as interesting. Some of the small ones, it's just like you warp in with railguns, target the things at 100 kilometers away and blow them up and then fly. That's the easy ones. I always like when they turn up because it's like, oh, that's almost free money for the amount of effort I have to put in.
How convenient. So yeah, these burgers, right?
Yeah. What about your burgers?
These are going to be sweet. Right.
What time are they?
When we finish this, be patient.
Maybe an hour. What time is it now? 6? Yeah, we've got playtime. I'm normally the one who's hungry early.
Real professional video attitude going on here, guys.
We're not talking about the game, that's for sure.
Anyway, it's beef, right? Got a bit of beef. There's some chopped up onion in there, yeah. Real stinky onion, as it turned out. It's quite potent.
Right.
It's good stuff, top quality. And then inside the mix, there's the generic
mix.
There's the generic mixed herb.
Yeah.
Herbs, you're not American.
Everyone's favourite generic, like,
you know,
kitchen
that
thing.
that mysterious pot.
Yeah.
It's called the mixed herb. So anyway, there's a bit of that shit in there. There's sprinkling of rosemary. Because, you know...
Because that might already have been in the mixed herb, but you need some more.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's not in the mixed herb.
Okay.
It's because rosemary's very...
Potent.
Yeah, it's quite potent. It's quite specific. You know, I think you'd be able to smell it.
It's quite specific.
Well, you know, it's. I mean,
what you mean? It's overpowering. Like if you poured Dr Pepper into a Coke, it always tastes Dr Pepper.
Distinctive. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's quite distinct. I think you'd be able to pick it out if you had like a mixed herb selection of, oh, that's rosemary.
Right.
Or there's some rosemary in it, you know?
And obviously you don't want that. You want mixed herbs. Generic mixed herbs.
Mixed herbs, but I do like that rosemary kicker.
Okay.
So anyway, there's a bit of that.
Actually work.
There's a hint of garlic. Just a hint. Just the tiniest hint. And it's all band together with Tommy K. Because, you know, the eggs looked a bit off. There were a few, like,
so you had to use something else.
A week out of date, so I had to improvise. It's like, what's sticky and gooey enough? There's that Tommy K. Yeah, that'll do.
Okay.
So there's a bit of that in there. And also, just to, you know, because I figured that...
Oh, relic light! Holy shit!
Oh, wow.
We might actually have found one.
And there's paprika, cayenne pepper, and a sprinkling of sesame oil.
Sesame oil.
Sesame oil. Yeah, get to this site.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Let's get there before someone else does, quick! Oh, 82%. Still not quite there. Keep scanning.
5 treasure hunting.
It's a crumbling
Except it won't be live
serpentis
by the time we...
antiquated outpost.
Antiquated.
Because it's an archaeology site, so... Hooray!
Found it.
Warp. Get rid of that. Get rid of this.
Crumbling serpentis. What's serpentis?
Serpentis is the Galent enemies, basically.
But they're not a race you can be.
No.
They're
Right. So now we actually...
Why can't you be them?
Because you can only be one of the 4 main races.
What if I wanted to be the underdog? Like a pirate
Well, you
scamp?
can technically work for them if you fuck up your... If you, flip your alignment, so you're not aligned to the main factions and you align with the pirate factions, you can do jobs for them and earn pirate loot, like the pirate ships, I think you can get from their loyalty stores. Hooray, there's no one here!
Is it any cooler, or...?
It's different. But
Okay.
it's basically just reskins of the same ships again.
Oh, so what we got around here? Some fancy stuff floating in the air.
Yes, we've got, like... If I zoom out far enough.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean by the... I hadn't seen the new circular target.
The new circular targeting rings and all this stuff.
All the extra lines everywhere.
So now we're about to get to the actual thing, which is the mini game of opening the debris. Because what you're trying to do is obviously this is archaeology and hacking is basically exactly the same. It's the same thing. You're just hacking into a computer system and opening a cargo container. Oh wait, I need to approach this.
But if it's an antiquated computer system, couldn't you just brute force your way in to whatever system it is?
Well, no, it's probably so antiquated you have to use specialist software or something.
Specialist software that has to very quickly reverse engineer how this thing used to work.
Right, so let's turn on the relic analyzer. Right, now we play the stupid hacking minigame. Go!
Ooh.
Where basically you have to find the core. You have your virus, which has basically health points and how much damage it does.
I should at this point say hello to all the users that just skipped ahead to this point.
Yeah, put in a little bit of text at the start that says skip ahead to this timestamp.
Skip about 37 minutes in, you'll be fine.
Right, so you've got your virus, it's got how much damage it does and its hit points, and then you basically have to find the computer core and hack it. Oh shit, there's a firewall immediately, well that sucks.
So, what happens if you screw this up?
Then the cargo container goes away, I think.
It just explodes.
Yeah. So that's got 40 health points and it does 20 back to me, so I can get rid of that.
Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. So you take damage trying to work your way through these things.
Yeah. Oh, there's a
Data cache.
Oh, it's an antivirus. Well, luckily it's in a dead end, so I don't need to care about that.
Oh, that's handy. Typically, sort of
Okay, there's another firewall.
What's
there's a repair. That's useful.
When the firewall shows some of the nodes go black, what does that?
Those are ones that I can't access until I get rid of the firewall.
All right. So when you find a firewall, it blocks out an area around it.
Yeah.
Oh, a data cache.
No, it's another antivirus.
Oh. I like how they seem to make some
Oh, there's the core, and I've got plenty of strength to do it, so I'll just hack it. And then this happens.
Success.
All this shit flies out, but now this is the weird thing.
Scraps contained.
You have to click on them, and then it fires a little tractor beam. But all these little bits only exist for 30 seconds. So you have to basically choose which ones you want out of the ones that come out.
You have to quickly find them. Okay, so some are data, some are clearly marked as material.
It's materials, scrap, data, and parts.
So what do you get in each type? Oh, and then some of them are dying.
Yeah, these are already disappearing. The ones that are flashing. So target the ones that are flashing first, and then you can get more of them. Logic.
Can they disappear whilst being tracked?
No, I think once you've locked them, you can. Also, the tractor beam only goes 3,000 meters, so you have to make sure that they're in range. Well, that's the first container. Let's go to the next one.
That's kind of neat.
Yes, it's like an actual mechanic.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice that they've added.
You don't just push a button and have it open like you used to.
It's nice that they've added something like that. I feel like Eve is a universe where they could do quite a lot with that idea.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, sort of different. And perhaps that's the when you get different hacking tools, the game could be presented in different ways.
Yeah.
Essentially, the possibilities on this front are pretty big.
Well, the idea that you can.
So does it get to the point where some people are writing? Well, I suppose that already exists, but what I sort of want to see are in-game tools for market trading. I guess it's the ridiculous stock machine, so people could actually be trading people's jobs, but in the game,
right?
I want to see them go crazy and Eve is kind of nuts in general, but you know what I mean. I love it. It's
a lot of outer game stuff.
I love it when they bring
not really
this
integrated.
Yeah,
and a lot of stuff that is in game is just the one button.
Yeah,
it's why mining always sucks. Where it's just you fly to an asteroid, you lock it, you turn on your lasers, you wait 3 minutes, and then you go because nothing happens. Whereas imagine mining had a mini game like this. Because what I've always said about mining is you could. I think it would have to be optional, and it would have to be just a slight boost to your output. So you wouldn't screw up the economy, obviously, because you wouldn't want to. Because all the people who AFK mine, obviously, they put a lot of minerals into the economy just from doing that idly.
Sure.
And if they had to be active, it would bone everything up. But why not have an active mini game to mining that gives you a bonus somehow?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. You probably guide the game of ridiculous fishing.
Yeah, guide the laser over the ore patches or something. Let's hack this container.
I think Eve could draw in more players by becoming more active. Because it's and you've said it yourself plenty of times, playing Eve is a fairly passive experience.
Ooh.
Empty node.
That's a... Is that?
Utility subsystem.
Kernel rot.
Halves the coherence of a defense system.
Yeah. It's basically halves their health points
Okay.
before you do any hacking. That's another firewall. It's like, make sure you open all the nodes you can actually get to. There's another firewall. I bet the core's there.
Yeah.
It's where I'd put it.
Does that mean you have to take out both of them?
Yeah. Luckily I found a repair. Oh, two repairs.
Repair.
Sweet. Oh no, the core's completely exposed. I wonder what is over there.
Nothing. Can there be like things like hidden or like
know.
extras?
Should we actually just go look?
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
And turn on the other repair. No, there was nothing. It was just a trick.
Wow.
I guess that does sort of make sense from a security standpoint.
What, antiquated security? Then that it sucks?
No, you make something that looks important.
I guess, yeah.
That just corrupts the virus by making it go down a dead end.
I'm pretty sure that's not how
No.
security works, but
But in this weird hacking minigame.
I'm kind of happy that they're at least thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. What I haven't managed to work out that if you can do yet, which annoys me about this, is I want these containers to be on here, on the overview.
I see.
Because that would make it much easier, because you wouldn't have to mouse over them to find out what they actually are.
Well, I don't know. It's like how much of the, how far down the game approach do you want to go? Really, do you know? There's like
Well,
as soon
clicking
as you-
things in space is important.
Well, yeah. As soon as you start making it part of the list, are you losing some of the game element?
I guess, but... And also I should point out that I don't know how ridiculous that hacking minigame gets. Because obviously this is high-sec space, and this is probably like the easiest possible site. So there might be more like further mechanics possibly even to the hacking minigame.
Or what, when you're in low sec?
Yeah, in the harder hacking sites.
Yeah, maybe.
Because obviously this is just... Sometimes there's a file.
Yeah. The problem is, though, you know for a fact that the next game they may introduce like this will be like one of those pipe puzzles, like in Bioshock.
Oh yeah, the old pipe games.
Yeah. Was that style of game actually called? Is it Pipe Dreams?
Yeah, that's what that old game was called.
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
Because this hacking minigame is quite a lot like the Deus Ex Human Revolution
it looks
one.
pretty similar. Even visually, it looks
Yeah.
pretty similar. But again, I suppose computer.
Where it's like, how else are you going to represent it, really?
Yeah,
a bunch of nodes.
You need some hexagons.
Yeah.
And I was, speaking about like sort of UI representation. I was wondering, sort of looking at Eve's UI, just in general, like how it's not ever been overly stylized, has it? So I wonder how much it's sort of could actually be where future space flight could go. What's the plausibility of this kind of UI? And
Well, I mean, if you want to be ridiculous about Eve, the whole idea of it's like none of this UI would actually exist because it's all in your brain. You just know it.
I guess. Yeah.
Because you're plugged directly into the chip. I mean, the whole idea of this, like, the camera view, the idea is, like, you've got an actual camera drone that orbits your ship and transmits that picture into your brain. And that's how you actually see.
Well, I suppose someone had to explain it.
Yeah. But
Was that drone following you even through warp?
yeah. It's a bit undefined. I mean, the fact
surely
is that I can spin this really quickly, so that drone must have some hell of thrust on it.
Yeah. It must be the tiniest thing.
Yeah.
Well, the tiniest thing with ridiculous motor.
Yeah, they don't go into specifics that much. They just go into enough specifics for it to be ridiculous.
Yeah, like, surely that would be the key to, like, winning a fight, then, almost.
Yeah, you'd think you just, like, shoot a camera drone, then they can't see. Although apparently the ships have a lot of spares. Is how it works.
Like, surely that's one of the logical, like, EMP devices or something that just
destroy
target
the camera drones.
target your fly bay. That's what I'm calling it now.
Oh, this is
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. That fire will block me from getting the repair, but that's okay, because it's the first thing I've seen. Nope. That's in the indication. No degrader. See, it's like a bit of a one path through this one. Oh, well, that was lucky. Oh. That was lucky.
Not so lucky.
Get rid of that. I better use the repair now. Oh, I'm lagging, in case you're wondering why I can't click that. Come on. I'm lagging.
That's actually...
There we go.
That's actually Trinity having a problem, is it?
Well, or your connection to it, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of files in here. Oh,
That is the core. We're
that's
okay.
fine. Degraded anyway, just to be fancy.
Boosh. Oh, and the hacking beam is sort of orange.
Yes, it does actually have an effect. You just don't see it because it's behind the giant hack screen most of the time. And that's the weird thing about this whole system when you really think about it is, imagine doing that in like low sec or zero sec. It's such a PvP thing because like you're exposing yourself basically. You're distracted by this thing that you're doing. If anyone else rolls up on you while you're doing it,
Yeah, could there be like a maybe that's another bit of equipment they might add, or something like the holy crap early warning system.
maybe. I guess there's not really any way to do that.
That'd be my brand.
The holy crap early warning system.
Yeah.
Is your brand of early warning devices. Right, well, I'm going to quickly set my destination back to home base so I can get there to turn this video off at some point. Luckily it's only one jump. And let's have a quick look at what crap I looted out of that. All my scanners. Get rid of those. Stack. So what did we actually get?
Spatial attunement
Spatial
units.
attunement. I've never seen one of them before, is it that? Okay.
Primarily used for scanning.
It's primarily used for scanning, mainly found on Reddit site. Yeah, I'm kind of aware of that.
So is it basically scrap to sell?
I don't know, let's see what the market says.
No orders.
Although this is actually, it must be brand new because there's not been any orders. So this must be a new device that's used for making probably new equipment that was just introduced.
Oh, I see. So there isn't much demand and there isn't much knowledge about it.
Yeah, the market hasn't settled. And then we got some useless crap, like trade goods, and then some salvage. This is the stuff that you normally get off salvaging wreckage from ships that you've destroyed. Apart from that, the ones that blew there are slightly higher quality. So that is
They're
actually
the ones that glow.
the orange ones are like, this is a burned logic circuit, and this is a regular logic circuit.
Oh, I see. So the orange ones with the weird like Saturn rings behind it are a bit like this is messed
Yeah,
up.
they've been more fucked up by the explosion of the ship, or randomly in this case. So yeah, I guess how much is this logic circuit going for? Somewhere between 250 FAL and 400 FAL. So that's not too bad, considering this is like super high sec space.
Wait, yeah, wasn't it once a big deal making 1 million ISK?
Not any longer.
Yeah.
You can easily make 4 million just off the tutorials. You get like an implant. Everyone gets implants from the tutorials, and they're like millions of ISK on the market.
Huh.
I currently have 2.6 billion. So there you go.
What kind of billion is it? Like 1,000 million billion?
Yeah. 1,000 millions. So there you go, that's scanning, and we actually found one, thank God.
Yeah, it wasn't a total waste.
That's the new scanning minigame. So hopefully, more stuff like that, I guess?
Yeah, well, if this is the direction Eve's taking, then I think it becomes more appealing to the soloist.
Yeah, more actual
More stuff
activity.
More stuff to do.
Because actually, like, as I was saying, when you used to do hacking, the sites were essentially the same. It'd be like those containers in a pocket. But you used to just lock them, turn on the hacking module, and then the hacking module had a percentage chance of succeeding.
Oh, right.
So it's like 25%. So you just had to sit there and wait for it to cycle.
That sounds a lot more like like how an MMO would do it.
That's like how the mining works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now there's a minigame.
Yeah, more of that, please.
Good times.
Yeah. Alrighty, thanks for joining us for this video. I suppose I better go cook some burgers.
Yeah, apparently.
I feel pressured.
It's goddamn burger time.
Time to get burged.
Yeah. Really.
Alrighty, thank you for joining us on this happy salad video thing for Eve. Right, thank you. But yeah, I suppose you better come back and watch some other stuff at some point. I'm not going to do the whole run because Zach's already giggling at me when I'm like,
when you've totally fucked up that ending.
I haven't even got to it. So anyway, yes, thank you. Bye bye. I'll catch you next time for the Switch.
The Amar shuttle, and then the Echelon, and the Glen shuttle, and the Helios, and the Ishka, the Miradon, the Nereus, and the Verita.
Violator.
Fighter.